Thank you for joining the Become a Billionaire with Me podcast. We'll journey together through the process of finding, evaluating, and purchasing our first multifamily apartment. On this show, we'll also bring in industry experts to share valuable tips that will help us become billionaires together. Here's your host, Multifamily Martin.
Hey guys, I have a very special guest today. Let me introduce our special guest, Khleif.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. Martin and Cindy, this is exciting. How exciting that you guys got your podcast going, and I love the title about billionaires. That's absolutely awesome.
Yeah,
so let's have some fun today. Let's add some value to your listeners.
Yeah, sounds good. Awesome.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, Rod?
Absolutely. So let me tell you my story. I have to go back a little ways, a long ways, actually. I'm about to turn 60, and I'm going to go back to when I was 6 years old. I immigrated to this country when I was 6. Came across on a big boat, immigrated from the Netherlands, from Holland, where I was born, with my mother and my brother, Albert. And we ended up in Denver, Colorado, where I lived for the next 30 years. Now, we didn't have much, okay? I wore clothes, hand-me-down clothes from the Goodwill and the Salvation Army all the way through junior high school till I could get a job and actually buy my own clothes. We ate expired food because that's all my mom could afford. We drank powdered milk with our cereal because she thought milk was healthy at the time. And we struggled. Now, I know that there are going to be people listening to your show that had it harder than we did, but I knew that I wanted more. And luckily, my mom had an incredible work ethic. So she babysat kids so we'd have enough money to eat. And with her babysitting money, when I was 14, we always had a house full of kids because she was babysitting, and she was an entrepreneur. But with her babysitting money, when I was 14, she bought the house across the street from us for about $30,000. Now, when I was about to graduate from high school, she told me it had gone up $20,000 in her sleep. She didn't have to do anything, just the value went up. She'd made 20 grand. I'm like, what? I'm getting into real estate. And so, screw college. I'm not doing college. I'm going to get into real estate. And that's what I did. And I got my broker's license right when I turned 18 and was going to sell real estate. And you could get your broker's license then with education. Now they got smart. You have to have some experience too. But I did it with education. And so my first year in real estate, I made about $8,000 to $10,000. This is 1978. My second year, maybe about $10,000 to $12,000. But my third year, I made well over $100,000. Wow. So what happened between year 2 and year 3? What happened was I met a man that taught me about mindset and psychology. And really, what I've come to learn is, and I've spent 20 years following Tony Robbins around the planet, multiple events. And what I come to learn is that 80 to 90% of your success in anything is your mindset and your psychology. Only 10 to 20% is the real estate stuff, we talk about on our podcasts. Mm-hmm. And so fast forward to today, I have owned over 2,000 houses that I've rented out long-term. I've owned multiple apartment complexes. And in 2006, my net worth went up $17 million while I slept. But there's a punchline. Okay.
Isn't there?
Yeah. When that happens, and if you want to do the math on that, it's like $8,300 an hour for the year. Okay. And when that happens, people can tend to get a big head. And I did. I thought I was a freaking real estate god. I mean, you could barely fit this head through a door, double door. And, when people get a big head like that, God or the universe or whatever you believe will give them a smackdown. Well, for me, that was 2008. I lost that $17 million and a whole lot more. I have what I call a $50 million seminar. It's not a failure unless you give up or you don't get the lesson. But I lost $50 million in 2008 and 9. And so what I like to talk about, if you'll humor me, guys, is the mindset it took to have 50 million to lose in the first place, but then the mindset it took to get back to the success that I enjoy today. Because a lot of people don't come back from losing like that. I mean, I thought I was set for life. I thought 80 million baby boomers getting old and getting cold, Florida was recession proof. Well, Florida was ground zero for the recession. And so just like where you guys are, California got hit really hard as well. Yeah. So Anyway, you want me to chat about that a little bit? How I was able to do that?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that'd be awesome.
All right. So what I do at my live events, and by the way, I've got one coming up in LA, not too far from you guys. I know you guys are going to it here in January. And if you guys are interested, if those of you listening are interested, it's rodinlosangeles.com. But what I do, the first thing you guys will experience when you come is I do a goal setting workshop, and not unlike one you've ever done before. I will tell you that. So what I'll do is I'll just take a couple minutes and I will outline it for your listeners so they can do it at home. So guys, if you're listening, take some notes and I'll go through it with you. So the thing that you do is you pick an hour when you have a lot of time. Okay. Pick an hour when you have a lot of energy. Sorry. You have a lot of energy. Make sure you're well hydrated. Make sure you're drinking water, as I get a drink myself.
Yeah.
And mine.
Make sure that you don't do it after a big meal. You want a lot of energy. And you're going to sit down and write down everything you could possibly want in life. Okay, so all the stuff, start with the stuff. You're going to start with, the cars, the boats, the planes, the jet skis, the houses, all the stuff. And there's nothing wrong with stuff, motorcycles, whatever.
Lamborghinis.
Write all that stuff down. How much money do you want in the bank in 3 years? How much money do you want in the bank in 10 years? How much money do you want in net income from your real estate assets, say in 3 years and in 10 years?
Yeah.
So write down all of that. Where do you want to travel? I've got a travel vision board. Where do you want to travel? Write that down. Also, in big things and little things, I'm going to tell you to take the lid off your brain. Imagine that if you write it down, you're going to get it, which is not outside the realm of reality. So don't be limited. You're only limited by what's between your ears. And so, I would say, don't think outside the box. Pretend there is no box. Okay. And write down anything. If you want a private island, you want a yacht, jet, whatever it is, write it down. I will tell you, in my office, I've got pictures of yachts right now. And because I want to take a yacht and I want to take it around from Spain all the way around the boot of Italy into Greece, Croatia, do the Amalfi Coast. That's my bucket list in either a chartered yacht or in my own yacht.
Yeah, that's awesome. Wow.
And so write down everything you can think of. Then write down everything you want to do in this lifetime. Again, where you want to go. Maybe you want to climb a mountain. Maybe you want to write a book. What do you want to do this lifetime? Maybe, you want to jump out of a perfectly good airplane like I did a few months ago, which I will never do again. Whatever it is, write it down. Then I also want you to write down what you want to learn in this lifetime. Maybe you want to learn a foreign language. Me, I'm going to learn how to play the drums. I want to learn how to fly a helicopter. Those are my goals. What do you want to learn?
Yeah.
And then lastly, write down who you want to help. I bought my parents a house here in Florida, bought them a car, took them on cruises. Who do you want to do things for? Write that down. Okay, so it's everything you want to do, be, or have. It's not just the stuff. Now, why this is important, guys, is because it triggers something called your reticular activating system. And that's that filter in your brain that subconsciously decides what it thinks is most important for you to focus on. And the greatest example I can give you is when you first buy a car. You didn't really notice them before, but when you buy the car, you see them everywhere. It's the same. In fact, another great example is when you Google something and then it starts showing up in your feed. You're thinking, how the hell, why is it in my feed? Because Google's algorithms retarget you. It's the same thing with your reticular activating system in your brain. So, again, take the lid off your brain. Imagine if you write it down. And guys, people spend more time planning Christmas or a birthday than they do designing their lives.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
This is designing your life. Okay, now, once you've written down, you can't think of another thing. And if you're analytical, don't stop and analyze it. Keep writing. You can always scratch it out later. But once you can't think of another thing, I want you to put a time limit on each goal. Put how many years it's going to take you to achieve it. So just put a number 1 for 1 year, a 3, a 5, a 10, or even a 20. Now, I want you to remember this, though. As human beings, we will overestimate what we can do in a year and massively underestimate what we can do in a decade or 20 years. And I'll give you an example. When I lived in Denver, I knew I always wanted to live on the beach, and there's no beach in Denver, okay? And so I'd have pictures of palm trees. I had pictures of beaches, and I'd visualize living on the beach and walking on the beach. 20 years later, I built this incredible 10,000 square foot, $8 million mansion on the beach. I had the beach on one side and I had my boat lifts on the backside. It was like this slice through an island. And it was unthinkable when I was 18, but I made it happen. And you can too. So again, take the lid off your brain. Imagine if you write it down, you're going to get it. And don't limit yourself. So put a time limit on each goal. How many years it's going to take you to achieve it.
Okay.
The next, I want you to pick your number one. And by the way, if you're analytical, don't overthink the time limit either. Just guess. Your best guess. This doesn't have to be perfect.
Yeah. Great.
Then I want you to pick your number one goal. I mean, that goal that if you get it, you're like, oh my God, I cannot believe I got this. That goal. Take that goal, put it on another sheet of paper. Then I want you to pick your top 3 one-year goals. Put those on a separate sheet of paper. Leave some room in between them. Okay. Then the next thing you're going to do, the goals are important. The goals will move you. They'll pull you. They'll push you. They'll motivate you. But the real fuel is knowing why those goals are an absolute must. So you need to write a paragraph under each goal, why it's an absolute freaking must for you to achieve it. Okay? And so, and use emotionally charged language. Like, so use words like incredible and amazing and massive and beautiful. You want, words are very, very powerful. You want to use them. Yeah. So you might say so that I can show my wife what success looks like, or my husband, so that I can show my kids the path to success, so that we can have freedom to do whatever we want, wherever we want, whenever we want, with whoever we want. You know, whatever it is for you, put your whys down, and again, make it compelling. You know, and a lot of people say, I should do this. I should be a better dad. I should, you know, work my side hustle harder. I should quit this job and do something else. And we end up shooting all over ourselves, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. We got to make it a must, guys. Yeah. And so make it a must. And the why does that. And so once you've got a positive reason why, I want you to put some pain in there. Mm-hmm. What happens if you don't achieve the goal? So I don't feel like a failure. So I don't feel like I failed in life. So I don't fail my children. So I don't fail my spouse. So I don't live a life of regret. And I know that sounds really harsh, but this is fuel, guys. And we will do more to avoid pain than gain pleasure. So you want to use this to push you to get up early, to stay up late, to work weekends, to do whatever it takes, to grind now. So, you know, to live like other people won't for a few years, so you can live like other people can't for the rest of your life. Okay. Yeah. And that's the fuel. So put a positive and negative reason why on each goal. Okay. And then there's one more step. And that is you must get pictures of your goals. And here's why. Because visualization is incredibly powerful. I'll give you a couple public examples. First one I would say is Jim Carrey. Mm-hmm. When Jim Carrey, the actor, was flat broke, he wrote himself a check for $10 million. And on the little remittance back, you know, checks for those of you millennials, those are these pieces of paper we used to use to pay for things. And on the bottom of the check, it said, for services rendered, with a little smiley face. Well, he used to go up to the Hollywood sign, flat broke, and he'd look at this thing and at that check, and he'd visualize cashing it. That's how much money he made for Dumb and Dumber. Wow. I will give you some more. I'll give you another public example, which is awesome. There was this millionaire in New Orleans, and this was, and he picked a school in I think it was the 9th ward. I mean, horrible, you know, tough, poverty-ridden, high crime area where about 17, 18, 19%, it was a teen percent went to college, whatever. I don't know the exact numbers. So don't hold me to the exact numbers, but I'm pretty close. Yeah. It was under 20% of the kids went to college. He took one class out of that school, and all he did was he paid to bus them to one of the local colleges. I think it might've been Loyola. And what they did was they paired each kid up with a college student. Okay, so they spent the day with the college student. They went to classes. They went to the library. They went to the cafeteria. They walked around the campus. They got to experience campus life. Then they took them back and let them off the bus. And then all they did for the next couple of years was every day those children were asked to close their eyes and visualize themselves going to college. That's it. Wow. Over 80% went to college. Okay? That's the power of visualization. So let me give you some of my own examples. Back when I was 18, I bought a 4-door car because if I'm going to show houses and be a real estate broker, I got to have a 4-door car, right? I bought this bone ugly 4-door Ford Granada, bench seat in the front, ugliest freaking thing you ever saw in your life. Well, I worked with a guy that had 2 Corvettes, and he let me drive one. And that experiential piece is really important. After I drove it, I'm like, oh my God, I got to have one.
How do I get one, right?
And so I got a picture of a Corvette out of a magazine. This is before the internet hadn't even been thought of yet. Yeah. And I got a picture out of a magazine of a Corvette. I put it on the visor of my bone ugly Granada. Within a year, I had a beautiful Corvette. Now, that experiential piece, I want to circle back to that. I went to the Fort Lauderdale Yacht Show about 3 weeks ago, and I went and BS'd my way onto some big, beautiful yachts. I sat and put my hands on the steering wheel, whatever they call it. I sat on the bed. I sat at the desks. I visualized myself being in a yacht because this stuff works, guys. I don't make this up. This absolutely works. And so, I'm just, again, it's do as I say, do as I do, not just as I say. People ask my kids at my live events. My kids help me at my live events. Does he really do this stuff? Yes, he really does this stuff. So, I talk about affirmations and, I am success, I am power, I am courage. Anything you put the words I am in front of is an identity statement. And there's no greater force in the human psyche than the need to remain consistent with how we identify ourselves. So I actually yell that stuff at the top of my lungs and to embody it because it works. And that's what people ask my kids. Does he really yell that stuff? And yes, they remember as they were growing up. But anyway, I digress. So I want to give you some more examples of this in action, but I want to pre-frame this by saying I'm not bragging here. This stuff doesn't even interest me anymore, okay? But it's great to hopefully inspire you to do this, those of you listening. So when I had that Corvette, this was back in the TV show Magnum P.I. was out. The actor's name was Tom Selleck, and he lived in Hawaii, and he drove this gorgeous red Ferrari 308. He was like this detective.
Yeah.
And I thought that car was the coolest freaking car I'd ever seen. I got a picture of that actual car, put it on the visor of my Corvette. Within a couple of years, I had a Maserati look just like it. You couldn't tell them apart.
Wow.
Then the last example, another car example, I'm the guy that always wanted a Lamborghini, okay? I had the posters in my bedroom with the Lamborghinis and the bikini girls and all of that, yes, all the way through school. And it was a Lamborghini Countach was the brand, the model back then. But what's interesting is my son collected models of exotic cars. He had about 30 of them. Mm-hmm. And he had a model of the exact same color Lamborghini style that I ended up getting. And he used to visualize me taking him to school in it, okay? So he was visualizing the same thing I was visualizing. Let me share something with you. This is kind of cool. Okay, this is my planner, okay? It's on today. I use a paper planner. Yes, I'm a dinosaur. I still use Outlook as well, but I love to handwrite in a planner. In the back of this thing are pictures that have been in here for 20 years, okay? They're in plastic. The first pictures are my gratitude pictures. They're the pictures of my children when they were very young, because everything starts from a place of gratitude, guys. You want anything in life, you start with gratitude. So these are my gratitude pictures, okay? Then I've got pictures of things that I wanted. This picture on top looks just like the windows I had in that house on the beach. I lost that house on the beach, when everything fell apart for me, but that's what it looked like. This is before I ever had it. The floor looks just like the floor in there, travertine floor. What's crazy is this picture on the bottom. By the way, I lost that house. Now I live in a compound, okay? I have 6 buildings.
Wow.
But what's crazy, if you see the wall in this picture here, okay? Before I ever got it, there's a wall. I don't know if you can see it there. Yep. Look behind me. That's my backyard.
Yeah,
same freaking wall. Okay, 20 years ago. Yeah. And now I live in this compound. It's 6 buildings. I mean, it's incredible. I have a giant main house. I've got a 2-bedroom guest house. I've got, it's just spectacular. It's like a park. And because God's got a sense of humor, I look across the bay. I can see my old house that I built on the water. But wow. Anyway, but other pictures I've got here, it's crazy. Stupid shit that I thought was important. I've got $200,000 worth of watches. Yeah. The Lamborghini before I ever got it, okay? Yeah. Rolls Royce, the Bentley. All these things that I got because I had pictures. So do not underestimate the power of this. Those of you analytical going, oh, he's lost me, he's too foofy. I'm telling you, you're making a mistake. That's all I'm telling you.
Yeah,
this stuff works. Okay.
You're living
All right. So anyway, I'll drop the mic. That's how you get what it is you want. You have to know what it is you want with crystal clear clarity. How the hell are you ever going to get it if you don't know what it is? That's why goal setting is so important, and knowing why those goals are a must. You know, I will tell you, as far as the regret thing, I forgot to mention this, and I said put some pain in there if you don't achieve the goals, like not living a life of regret. There was this nurse in Australia named Bronnie Ware, and she was a hospice nurse, and she counseled hospice patients at the end of their life. And she asked them if they had any regrets. And she wrote a book about it. It's called The 5 Regrets of Dying. You want to know what the number one regret was, guys? It was not living the life I could have lived. It was living someone else's life, not living to my potential. Yeah. No regrets, guys, okay? Life is too friggin' short to have regrets. So that's why these goals are so absolutely important.
Yeah, that's awesome, Rod. Yeah, thank you so much. We've learned so much from, you telling us your story, and I hope our listeners can really, get a lot from, what you shared with us. I'm about halfway through your book, and I wanted to share this with our listeners. So if you guys don't know, Rod has an awesome book, How to Create Lifetime Cash Flow through multifamily properties.
Boom.
It is amazing. Rod.
Oh, thank you, buddy. Thank you.
Stories.
I gave away 20,000 copies of this thing for free. And then my team is like, hey, stupid, do you think maybe we should make some money with this thing one of these days? So now it's on Amazon. It made a bestseller in 3 categories on Kindle, but the actual physical copy, see, this thing says not for resale. I finally got the final proof, and this thing's going to go live. But thank you for the shout out. It's a labor of love. It took a long time. It's like a textbook for the business.
It's definitely life-changing and very motivating.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah. By the way, since I no longer give that away for free, on my website, I now have this thing. It's called the Multifamily Property Toolbook. And what it is it's a due diligence checklist for multifamily. It's almost 70 pages, okay? It's no fluff. It's every possible question you should ask yourself before you get into a deal. Like the page I turned to, what type of market is this property? A, B, C, D, primary, secondary, tertiary. Is there a lot of foot traffic? Is there adequate lighting? Who's your target renter? Market comps, expense comps, on and on and on. Every possible question. We use this every day. Okay, we've closed on 1,000 doors this year. We've got another, I think, 2,000 in LOI right now. Wow. God forbid they all hit at once. But the point is, this book is on my website for free. That's okay, awesome. Just get it. All right, it's a free download. It's on rodkhleif.com, and the price is right.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Anyway.
That's great. Awesome. Rod, thank you for sharing all of your knowledge and the booklets that our listeners should download.
Oh, let me say one thing too, if you don't mind, Martin. Sorry to interrupt. I've got this Facebook group on, I don't know if you guys are in it or not, but I've got a Facebook group. It's the largest multifamily Facebook group really in the world now. I think it's pushing 31,000 people. And if you go to multifamilycommunity.com, it's a direct link to that group. There's no promotion allowed. But it's all educational. People asking questions, people answering questions. And guys, you guys know well enough that you are the people you hang around with. Be around people that want more out of life, right? Be around people that want to build, their business, build their multifamily investment game. So that's that's multifamilycommunity.com, direct link to that page. And of course, I do 3-day live boot camps for a year. I go from one side of the country to the other, but the next one is in LA, and it's just me for 3 days. I don't bring in outside speakers to sell stuff like everybody else does. On Saturday night, I have about 1 to 3 billion in panelists on stage. I'm going to have an all-female panel this time. I did that in Baltimore. I had 3 women with 10,000 doors between them. Okay, I'm pretty sure I'm going to get all 3 of them back in LA. So it's an incredible event, and that's rodinlosangeles.com. And
awesome. Really looking forward to it.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to meeting you guys too there. Yeah.
Yeah, likewise. Rod, maybe as we close out here, what is the one piece of advice that you can give to the newbie trying to get into the multifamily?
You bet. You bet. Great question. I'm going to give more than one if you don't mind. I'm going to riff for just a little bit here. Number one is know what it is you want. Like I just said, don't overlook the goal setting piece. It's so freaking important. With clarity, know what you want. Nothing is more important than that. Know why you want it, what it is you want, why you want it, so you have the fuel. So that's number one. Number two, okay, real high level. Pick a market. If you're in San Francisco, that's not low-hanging fruit. It's ridiculously priced real estate. Yeah. You need to be outside. But what's so beautiful about this business is that you can do it from your laptop. You can drive down the street on Google Earth. You can make phone calls. You can do your comps. You can find listings online. There's so much you can do from your laptop. So you're not geographically restricted in this business. Then the next piece is you got to build a team. Multifamily real estate is a team sport, which is why you need to come to events like mine and why people keep coming back, because they build their team there. They find like-minded people, because I will tell you, some people are more analytical and some people are more extroverted. When you can put one of each together into a team, an analytical person, like I have a Robert. Everyone should have a Robert. He's a CPA. He's done almost $1 billion worth of multifamily. He's the analytical one. If you haven't noticed, I'm the talking head. Okay, I'm the talker. So we are a fantastic partnership. Now, some people are both. Okay, but this business is absolutely a team sport. You're going to have an internal team like I do with Robert and other team members, and you'll have an external team like brokers, property managers, building inspectors, contractors. So once you pick a market, you need to start reaching out to those people and getting to know them and learning that market. Put in Google alerts for anything that pops up in that market so you get alerted so that you know what's going on, because you want to become an expert in whatever your sub-market and your market is, so that you have the ability to influence. But the number one thing I'm going to tell you is don't dabble. Don't dabble. Dabblers get their butts kicked. Learn the business. Come see me or go see somebody else, whatever. Read my book, but study this. Don't dabble, because it is a team sport. The more you build your competence, that will equate to your confidence, which will ultimately equate to your ability to influence people. And that's the name of the game. You have to be able to influence. I'm not going to say sell, but you're influencing people. You're selling them on you. You're selling them on maybe a deal you're trying to put together. And the beautiful thing about this business, and I'll leave it with this, is it doesn't take money or credit or income. It takes a team that has the money and the credit and the income. But really not even the income. In commercial real estate, they look at the property. But even the earnest money and the at-risk capital that's needed to take down a deal, if you find a good deal, if you focus on finding deals, you find a good deal, you'll find that money. Hell, call me. Part of those 1,000 units were people that sent us deals. I'm in a perfectly positioned place to have a lot of deals coming at us. Yeah. So, if you find the deal, you'll find the money. So get focused on your education and then all those other things I described. And keep learning. Learners are earners. In fact, I'll share something with, I don't have it here. I took some pictures. I'm going to post in the Facebook group. I have hundreds of lanyards of a boot camp events that I've been to. Hundreds, not exaggerating. And I took a picture with my Bentley and my Mercedes and my wife and a stack of books just to show, that I didn't have a traditional education. I never went to college, but I want to start some dialogue around that. I did a post like that in the multifamily group. Do you need college? And I had pictures on my arms of all these lanyards with the name tags of all the different boot camps that I've been to, because that's my education, and it's non-traditional, but it worked for me. So anyway,
that's great.
That was a long answer to your question, Cindy.
Yeah, I think it was super valuable, and I think our listeners will definitely learn a lot from that. Rod,
it's been my pleasure to meet you guys, and I look forward to seeing you in person and giving you a hug in LA, and I know you're really going to enjoy yourself. It's a lot of fun because it's not just the real estate. I really dig into the mindset, which is so important. Not giving up, pushing through fear and limiting beliefs and all these things that hold us back. Because the sad reality is 90% of the people that go to a boot camp or they buy a course, they don't do a damn thing with it. Not on my watch. Okay. So, we spend time on that because it's so important. Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to the boot camp and meeting you in person, Rod. And really excited for this new journey of
all right. Well, good luck with the podcast. It's been my absolute pleasure. And we'll see you soon.
Awesome.
Thank you
Thanks,
so much, Rod. It was a pleasure.
See ya.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the Become a Billionaire with Me podcast. If you liked what you heard, please help by giving us a 5-star review on iTunes. If you have any suggestions, please feel free to make a comment in the comment section. Let's become billionaires together.